If you achieved perfection in your world, the undisputed young king of the NPB diamond, the Triple Crown secured at age 22, what happens when the definition of perfection changes overnight? Does a revolutionary talent like Shohei Ohtani merely raise the bar? Or does he fundamentally shatter the career trajectory and psychological foundation of every other elite player in Japan? Welcome to 601 Daily News, where today we aren't just discussing baseball statistics, we are analyzing existential crises on the diamond. The moment Munetaka Murakami realized his NPB crown was built on shifting sand, leading to a desperate, perhaps destructive, pursuit of velocity that we promise to unpack. To understand the depth of this tragedy, we must first remember the glory of 2022. That year, Murakami didn't just win the Triple Crown, he redefined it for his generation, capping his performance with 56 home runs and an obscene OPS of 1.168. He had, as the transcript suggests, mastered NPB batting. He was the finished product. He had maximized the NPB template, asserted veteran hitting analyst Kenjiro Kato. His swing was surgical perfection within this league, efficient, powerful, and tailored precisely for Japanese pitching staffs and ballparks. There was no need for change. But here is the silent, terrifying pressure that Murakami faced, the Ohtani effect. Ohtani is not simply a better player, he is an anomaly that negates conventional wisdom. Murakami, sitting atop his domestic throne, suddenly had to confront the reality that his peak NPB form might translate into nothing more than a marginal MLB success story. The logic that propelled him to greatness, contact quality, pitch recognition, timing, was challenged by a new, brutal metric: raw, untamed exit velocity. The internal monologue must have been agonizing. One insider who worked closely with the Swallows organization during that period told us Murakami was obsessed with the numbers coming out of the States. Specifically, he was constantly shown comparative data where his average exit velocity, around 89 miles per hour in 2022, was dwarfed by Ohtani's elite 93.8 miles per hour. The message wasn't subtle. You need more raw juice to succeed in the majors. Forget everything else. And that, my friends, is the moment the destruction began. Murakami's subsequent adjustments weren't about refinement, they were about total systemic overhaul. He began prioritizing a massive uphill swing path designed solely to maximize launch angle and bat speed, chasing that elusive MLB velocity threshold. The consequence, as we've seen in his fluctuating performance since 2022, was a significant increase in swing and miss. The transcript notes that his strikeouts increased drastically, and the data confirms the severity of this self-inflicted wound. His strikeout rate, a very manageable 17.5% during his Triple Crown campaign, began to climb, spiking in subsequent years to over 25% at certain points, a trade-off too steep for the minimal gain in average exit velocity he achieved. He traded controlled precision for chaotic power, lamented Coach Kato later. Now, let's address the inevitable counterargument, the one that suggests all elite players evolve. Maybe this change was necessary to prepare for the MLB pitch speed, regardless of Ohtani. This viewpoint misses the fundamental psychological element. Had Ohtani not been there, serving as a terrifying, living benchmark of what is possible, Murakami would have done what any rational king does: consolidate power. He would have polished his 2022 mechanics, focusing on consistency and perhaps securing a second Triple Crown. That path leads to a guaranteed, massive MLB contract, a rumored $200 million deal that many analysts projected for him in an Ohtani-less landscape. Instead, he felt compelled to chase the unnatural, to dismantle the very foundations of his success simply because a physical outlier proved that the conventional limits of power had been moved. The climax of this narrative isn't found in a game, but in a crisis of identity. Murakami felt that the world he mastered was suddenly irrelevant, turning a confident conqueror into a nervous imitator. This wasn't just physical destruction, it was a psychological dismantling. The true plot twist here, the tragic irony, is that Murakami might have been more successful in MLB, a league that still values strong plate discipline and consistency, exemplified by hitters like Freddie Freeman or Juan Soto, if he had simply ignored the siren call of Ohtani's extreme, once-in-a-century athleticism. He was defeated not by a direct competitor, but by the ghost of what he couldn't be. However, there is a glimmer of hope, a potential path to redemption that turns this destruction into creation. If Murakami uses this difficult period, this humbling loss of his perfect form, as the necessary fire to forge a more resilient approach, one that integrates his innate timing with some of the increased velocity focus, then perhaps his eventual MLB success can retroactively justify the pain. If he succeeds on the world stage, the years of struggle will be redefined as a necessary metamorphosis, not a regression. The destruction of his NPB dominance will have been the painful prerequisite for achieving true international greatness. The pressure of Ohtani may have broken his crown, but it might also have gifted him the humility and drive needed to rebuild an empire overseas. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the psychological toll of elite competition, don't forget to like this video, share it with your fellow baseball fanatics, and subscribe to 601 Daily News. We need to know, was Murakami's swing change an inevitable evolution necessary for MLB, or truly a tragic reaction to the untouchable brilliance of Shohei Ohtani? Drop your takes in the comments below.